Call the meeting the order of the Select Board of October 7th. Please rise as we salute the flag. Please remain standing thereafter. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing as we honor our veterans, both here and abroad, both past and present, for their service. Okay, please have a seat. Or stand, whatever you prefer. All right, this meeting is being recorded through DCTV and available on their on-demand service. We're live right now, though. As all our members are here, won't be a roll call vote unless warranted, and Mrs. Brooks is unavailable for the day. First item is we have no appointments, so the first and the warrant has been passed around to be signed. First appointment, we have first under new business, we have a constable appointment, Donald August. Donald, why don't you come to the podium? Basically, just kind of introduce yourself, and is this a renewal or is this an appointment?
A new appointment.
Okay, it's a new appointment. Okay, so under this, everybody signed off on it. More importantly, the chief has signed off on it. And this guy steps on your doorway, that means you're being served, so. Any questions from the board? All right, do I have a motion?
Motion to appoint.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by?
Second.
Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Good luck.
Gentlemen.
Hope we don't see you.
Did not see you. Yeah.
Stop by again.
Next year.
Give me a home address.
Next item on the agenda, we have the November state election warrant approval. And with that, we get to see our illustrious and most venerable town clerk.
I love that. Thank you.
Oh,
Good evening. So I'm here before you because we have our state election warrant before you for November 5th, 2024, which will include a number of state races, but also the presidential races on that ballot.
And all polling locations are as they were in September, as they were in
The entire
April?
year, they've been at the same place, correct. And we'll still have early voting again. There's 2 weeks of it. It begins October 19th. There are 2 Saturdays and then the days that the town hall is open during the week. The last day to register to vote is October 26th. The last day to request a mail-in ballot is October 29th.
Terrific.
it's on the website.
It is.
All right. Board's pleasure.
Last time, I think you told us you had about 5,000 registrations for early voting. Has that changed?
So it's much higher. So I think I'm at about 6,500 that we're getting out. I took 6 trays of ballots this morning and we'll be getting them out on a rolling basis over the next 1 to 2 weeks.
Great.
What's your anticipation for a high return rate on those?
I would think so. I think there'll be quite a few more requests. I believe in 2020 we were around 10,000 mail-in ballots, and I believe overall voting with mail-in early and election day was around 87%, which is very, very high. So I would expect something like that just based on the interest in this election.
Post office makes out well on that one.
The post office is fantastic. I'm glad you brought that up. They're so accommodating, making sure that all of these ballots get out quickly, that I have all of the equipment, trays, all of those things that I need. We don't normally get a Saturday delivery, but those Saturdays that we're open, they make arrangements to deliver us so we can process those ballots. So they have gone above and beyond to help us.
And anybody with a mail-in ballot can either mail them in or they can use the drop-off, the silver box that says not the library one, but the other one.
Correct, the small, slim one where they put payments, so they could put them in there. If you have a mail-in ballot, the return postage is paid. We also, as we start getting them in, we will have a drop box outside of the town clerk's office. In addition, during early voting, if you were to bring it to the polling place, we can take it. So, or they can walk into my office and hand it to us.
Well, just out of curiosity, will you have some kind of a sign outside of the drop-off box just to say drop your mail-in ballots here?
So Outside on the silver box, it says ballots to be dropped there. Outside my office, there's a red, white, and blue drop box, and it says place ballots here, and it has instructions on how to insert them. And then we've gotten feedback, and we've tried to make those improvements throughout the year.
Any other questions from the board? Do I have a motion to?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Unanimous. All right.
Thank you for
For
your
your
time.
signature.
Thank you.
All right. Yes, good luck. Okay, next item on the agenda, we have the Buzzards Bay Conservation Restrictions. And for Buzzards Bay, we have Mark.
Mark Rasmussen, Buzzards Bay Coalition. Thank you for the chance to be here tonight. I'm here with 2 conservation restrictions, but I first wanted to start by saying thank you for the partnership we have on Buttonwood to Bay project, particularly the Connect to the Sewer project. I'm really excited about working with the town on that. I have I won't bring it up now, but when I leave, brand new outreach flyer that we're going to be sending out to those neighborhoods soon to let people know about the program. So really excited about that. But tonight's about land conservation. Did you receive the summary in your packets, or I have copies
Yeah,
of those?
we-
Okay.
Yeah, we have it.
Great. So we had hoped to bring you 4 conservation restrictions tonight. There are only 2 that were returned to us in time by the state. So we're really tonight just talking about the Tavares Farm and the Jordan Farm.
Okay.
These are permanent conservation restrictions. I'll shorthand them, calling them CRs at different times. These are 2 exceptional farm properties, top priorities for preservation in Dartmouth for a long time. So the Tavares Farm is 148 acres on Slade's Corner Road. Jordan is 32 acres on Jordan and Allen's Neck Roads. Maps are in the packet, but these farms contain prime farm soils. They're on designated scenic roads. They are in all of the master and open space plans as being the kind of farmland that Dartmouth wants to see protected, particularly that they're working farms owned by farmers. So these conservation restrictions do a few things. I won't get into all the details. It's a long document, but the main points are pretty simple on these. First, they are forever prevented from development. There will be no permanent structures built on these farms, and that they'll be maintained in agricultural use. So that's the point of the whole thing, and that's the leading message. The documents also require best farm practices. They require the farms always maintain a USDA farm conservation plan to make sure that the farming is being done that's protective of the environment. They do allow for temporary structures. You will see, hoop houses for vegetables, a run-in shed for animals, things that a farm needs to operate, but only temporary agricultural structures. They do not allow public access. These are working farms, so they're not going to be trailheads for the public. However, in both cases, they've agreed to public events for farm events, farm days, at least 4 guided walks per year. So there is some element of public access being acquired on these amazing properties. And then lastly, this is really exciting, there's more than 100 acres of forest land protection here too. This is not just about farmland, but there's wildlife habitat, water quality protection in these deals as well. So those are the main points. I think this is particularly exciting for us. This is a new program that we're doing a lot of new farmland conservation with. It's a USDA, Department of Agriculture, Agricultural Land Easement Program called ALE for short, which purchases the development rights, the conservation on farms at 50% of their fair market value. So a farmer is paid to do one of these restrictions at 50% of the full market value of the farm, entirely on the federal USDA funds, no local contribution. This summer, USDA made Buzzards Bay Coalition what they call a certified entity for this program, meaning that we can administer and receive the funds for it. So I'm hoping that tonight's presentation, but also in the months ahead, many more farmers will hear about this program and take advantage of it. It's a really great federal program. The Farm Bill is very well funded. This is a very well funded program, so let's bring that money here to Dartmouth is what we're hoping to do. Lastly, really important, I want to recognize the generosity and the vision of these families, both the Tavares family and the Burns family from Jordan Farm. They are agreeing voluntarily to sell their conservation rights for half of their value and preserving their farms forever. So these are deep family decisions, and they're excited about it. I'm excited to have landowners like this in Dartmouth who love this place as much as we all do. So I think that's a really important note to make. So on process, what I'm here looking for tonight is the town's endorsement of these conservation restrictions. With your signature, the next step will be to deliver them to the state for the Secretary of Environmental Affairs needs to sign this, and they will both then go to closing this fall. So thanks, and thank you, and of course, happy for any questions.
Okay, board members have any questions? Mr. O'Neill?
No.
Mr. Tattelbaum?
Mark, what the other entities in town, planning or conservation or whatever, have been involved in this process at all?
No, this is really between the landowner and USDA and us as the holder, so no, they have not been.
So there's no legal need for that. But is there a need for us to notify these other entities in town that this is going on?
It'd be great to, I think. So he's not here yet, but Derek Christensen, the head of the Ag Commission, was planning to be here tonight if you had any questions about their support for these projects. So I misspoke. The Ag Commission has been very aware of these in their development. But I'd let conservation planning, I hope everybody hears about this tonight, gets the maps, and can see that these are now conserved.
What obligation, Mr. Chairman, do we have, if at all, to notify these other entities in town? But I understand legally maybe we don't have to, but do we?
We could just notify,
Yeah.
depending upon the result of the vote, we can notify, conservation and all them.
This is the first time we've done this.
I don't think it's the
There's
first time.
standard conservation
We've done
restrictions.
it
There are
before.
many
We've
of
done-
them in town.
But
Yeah, we've
this
done-
this program, I mean.
The first ALE funded, no, let me take that back. Eva Somaripa's garden on Jordan Road was also an early use of this funds. Ocean View Farm, just down the road from there, we used these funds as well as that big deal. So we've used ALE funds before.
In any case, I think we should, assuming how the vote goes, if it goes positive, that we should notify the appropriate,
No problem.
I think it's great.
thank you.
Mr. Mickelson?
Yeah, my comment is, it's a wonderful program, and I know we had done something similar to this, but there's an awful lot of acres in just those two farms alone, 148 and a quarter in one farm and 32.7 in another. It's a lot of land. It's wonderful to be able to protect that property forever, and something that we can do and be part of it and feel good when we get up every morning that we've done something.
I agree.
Yeah, thank you.
And these are not in the backwoods. These are very visible from the road.
Yes, yeah, they're
as you
great
know.
properties,
Yeah.
magnificent, yeah.
I mean, the language aside, it's more so looking at the maps that were provided in our package. And if you look at page 13 and page 15, you can see the number of protected properties in this area, and, I mean, just in this picture alone, it's mostly all green. It's mostly all protected. And that's right on, the Slocum. So, all right, so the question is, what do you guys want to do?
Make a motion that we endorse the conservation restrictions for the Tavars Farm, and the Jordan Farm.
Okay, all right, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, is there a second?
Second?
All right, on the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thank
I
you
will
very
sign
much.
this now.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yeah.
I want to acknowledge Buzzards Bay teamwork and approach we're trying to take when it comes to water quality and all the issues that we're going to even talk about tonight more. And between Dan and Mark and your legal team, I think they've made it a point that they're going to stand by us, and we're going to try to identify these critically important, and even offered to have even representation on our committee to shepherd us along. So, and just the Buttonwood project alone and what's that meant and how it's become massive, starting small, is a credit to the teamwork of Buzzards Bay and the town and other entities. So I
Thank you.
appreciate what you've done for us. Look forward to keeping it going and getting better at it too.
Us too, very much. Thank you. And to your town staff, the openness in which we've been collaborating has been really fantastic.
Great.
So thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
There's Derek, yeah.
Just in time.
Kind of late for that. No.
Not yet.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, we have the library strategic plan presentation.
On that is our library director, Dina St. Pierre.
Thank you, and thank you for having me here this evening. I have two of our trustees here with me tonight as well, Joan Marie Prue and Joan Menard. So the Mass Board of Library Commissioners requires that all public libraries have a current strategic plan on file in order to apply for grants. Our last plan expired just at the end of FY23, so not very long ago at all, but when I joined the team last year, I knew that it should be a priority to get a new plan going as soon as possible, and the board agreed. And so here we are. The board approved the plan in September, and the state approved it just within a few days after that. So now we'll share it with you tonight, just the highlights. So the process started nearly a year ago, which is hard to believe. We formed a strategic planning committee of 2 trustees and 3 staff members, including myself. We read through other plans, sort of got an idea of trends of what's happening in libraries right now, where we would like to go for the next 5 years. And we decided to bring in a consultant. We ultimately hired Deb Holdley of Holdley Consulting to assist through the process. We had initially planned to start in January, but there were a few delays, so we really kicked things off with Deb in March of this year. We identified about 20 community members who we asked to participate in 2 focus group sessions. We ended up with 12 to 15 members at each session. We also had a trustees focus group meeting and a staff meeting. So we had those 4 meetings. And at those meetings, we followed 2 exercises, the SOAR and community visioning. So SOAR, if you're not familiar, you probably are because it's pretty standard, strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results. Was the focus. And we sort of got the same results, interestingly enough, with all 4 meetings. The strengths, the top mentioned each time were staff, the fact that we have 2 locations that are conveniently located in town and close to the schools. We're open a lot of hours, the size of our collections. Those were the top strengths throughout the 4 meetings. Opportunities that came up were not really a surprise. Discussion about improved partnerships with other town departments, including the school department, increasing our marketing and branding to really raise awareness about all of the things we have to offer at the public library, and more programs. We just kept hearing the word more a lot. In the community visioning exercise, the statement was, "My hope is to live or work in Dartmouth where, ... And in the second community focus group session, it was really interesting to be like sort of a fly on the wall for that conversation. I was sitting in the back of the room, and it was a really great discussion about how people feel about the town currently and how they would, like those good feelings to continue to make it a welcoming space, a safe and supportive community for all residents and community members, so that the community is engaged and informed. And there was a lot of discussion about collaboration, making a community stronger, and so what could the library do to help with that? So that came through with the visioning. And then we put out a community survey that was out for a little over 3 weeks. We got just under 500 responses from the survey, which was pretty good based on the amount of people who could actually take the survey over the age of 18. The resounding response from the survey was that we need to update Southworth Library. That came through a lot. There were a lot of comparisons between our beautiful new North Branch and good old Southworth, and what we could possibly do to improve that. Interestingly enough, we heard a lot in those survey results that we need to increase our hours. So where the focus groups had been so happy with our hours, the surveys were really pointing out that we're not open on Fridays currently at the North Branch, and neither library is open on Sunday. So there was a lot of discussion about that. Improving signage at both libraries, and again, just more of everything. So once we completed those meetings and we had the results from the survey, the strategic planning committee gathered again, and we essentially in one day drafted the plan with our consultant, Deb. It was a really good day, that's for sure, but we rewrote our mission statement, we rewrote our vision statement, we identified our core values, and then we came up with our strategic priorities, which I believe you have in your packets. And so I won't repeat the mission and the vision since you can read what that is. I do just want to, since people may be watching this, discuss the core values, because the core values are what really ended up driving the whole plan, because it's what we believe in, and it's sort of the fundamental rights of library users in our eyes. So the core values we identified are access, diversity, equity, and inclusion, education and lifelong learning, and intellectual freedom. And so, like I said, those values really ended up driving the strategic priorities, our 5 goals. And over the next 5 years, we will be working towards these goals, enhancing the community engagement and awareness through partnerships, like I mentioned, outreach, marketing, branding. Those are really going to be key focuses, especially in the first year. Goal 2 is empowering people and enhancing places, which really focuses on staff development, empowering the staff, redesigning and optimizing our spaces, and community-centered service programs. Goal 3, cultivate inclusive collections and diverse programming. We are planning to do a diversity audit, which means we're going to audit our entire collection to make sure that there's no bias, that the collection is meeting the needs of any and all community members. We're also focusing on sharing programs that celebrate diversity, so incorporating that into our programs for all ages. Goal 4, embrace emerging technology. A big part of the discussion was on AI and how we can maybe at the library educate the community on AI, the good and the bad of that. And he's not in the room, but Peter Chase knows I'm looking forward to working with DCTV on that. And goal 5, enhance staff capacity to meet library needs. Really, again, focusing on that staff training, making sure all staff understand our technology and what we offer to the public so that we can teach the public how to use technology, and expanding staff to manage new responsibilities. Every year by December 1st, we will submit an action plan to the state for the coming year, and that will feature measurable goals, because the way you're looking at this now, those goals aren't considered measurable, but we will have actions each year that will be measurable. And to kick that off sort of right away, I've shared with you the FY25 second quarter actions. So between now and the end of the year, Southworth Library will have 21 new computers. All of the computers are being replaced for both the public and the staff. Some of the computers are 15 years old, and so we will, they take like 45 minutes to boot up some days. So we're getting new computers. The Friends of Dartmouth Libraries are purchasing or have purchased 14 of those computers, and we're using state aid for the other 7. We will also have new hotspots to circulate at both locations. That's a very popular service that we've offered. Dartmouth was sort of ahead of the curve before COVID and was circulating hotspots. Most libraries picked them up during COVID, but we certainly have seen the need for them more so since 2020. So we will be upgrading the 15 that we currently circulate by the end of the year. And the biggest thing to share with you is that at their September 10th meeting, the Board of Trustees voted unanimously to eliminate overdue fines on most physical materials. And I just want to take just a minute to explain what that means. In December of last year, the Mass Board of Library Commissioners issued a press release that 85% of public libraries in Massachusetts had already eliminated overdue fines. My previous community had eliminated overdue fines in December of 22, so I had a lot of firsthand knowledge of the positive effects of that. Over the years, it's just been determined that fines are not the motivator that they once were, and instead they've become a barrier. There's a lot of fear surrounding the fact that I might owe a tremendous amount of money because this book is late. Most people don't understand that the cap was only $2 on an overdue book, and instead think they're going to owe hundreds. So they just never come back and they never return the material. So now that we've taken that barrier and hopefully fare away, they will return the material. They will still be held accountable. So our patrons, there will still be due dates. So when you check something out, it will be due back at a certain time. And after 35 days, if an item is overdue for 35 days, it's considered lost. And you get a lost notice in the mail asking to either return the item or replace it, paying for it or replacing it with a similar copy. So that will still be in effect. So people will, it's not like it's just come and borrow and never return at all. There will still be the expectation of returning. And we will still collect overdues on hotspots, museum passes, and a special collection that allows like New York Times additional copies of New York Times bestsellers to circulate for a limited loan period. And our friends provide those books, the funding for those books, and they also provide the funding for the museum passes. So we'll still collect fines on those. But our most circulated items will be fine-free, and we believe this is going to generate a lot of goodwill from the community, and we hope to see an increase in usage as a result, more people either coming back to the library or coming for the first time. I mean, there's really nothing but good that comes of this has been shown in other libraries. And we've also heard recently that other people have started using libraries in other communities that are fine-free, because so many communities around here are, so hopefully they'll come back and use Dartmouth Public Library once again. So that is our strategic plan quickly, a year's worth of work in a short amount of time, and also those goals that are the actions that we're taking right away. Any questions?
Members, Mr. Tattelbaum?
A couple of comments. I ran a retail store for 35 years, and my attitude always was the way we try to reach the public was that nobody knew where we were and always try to reach them. I think the Dartmouth libraries are the best kept secret. And if you have that attitude to go out and try to find people and introduce all the time, then that's what people hear. And sooner or later, you're going to pique their interest to come in. And I could envision even some videos, maybe a little program or a session that Peter could do for you where people actually see what they're talking about. Visuals are much better than anything else.
Yes.
I think you have so much to tell and so much to offer, and most people don't know it's even there. And I think that's a great opportunity for you, and I think your plan here is fabulous.
Thank you. And that's, we all agreed with that from the get-go. We have the stuff, we haven't been great at selling it and putting it out there to the people who don't know about it.
front man.
So many.
I
know.
also,
I'm just thinking that. I've seen your videos. I'm just thinking.
I also the media center at the high school is phenomenal under Mr. Parati, and maybe it could even be a project for an internship.
Right.
That their facility at the basement of the high school is like professional.
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
And I know Peter would coordinate that as well. But
Yep.
Peter, he's phenomenal, as you know. And I think that there's always projects that can be had and done. And you have a great story to tell. Especially where the North Library opened up during COVID.
I
Some
know.
people don't even know it's there.
I know.
So it's a great opportunity.
Yeah,
Great
it is.
opportunity.
We just figured out last week, speaking of that, we've seen a 92% increase in circulation at North Branch from right before, when it was still at Tucker Road, till now. So people are finding it, but that's happened a lot in the past 2 years. It's really in the past 2 years that it's starting to find its way in the community, and it's great.
It's a quick aside as well. I had my daughter was here with her little baby from London for a couple of months, and I suggested she go to the Southworth Library, and they ended up going there 3 or 4 times a week.
Nice.
It's such a beautiful place down in the basement. The little girl was playing with all the other kids. It's clean, it's beautiful, the facility. It's just a welcoming, beautiful place. And once again, I don't think the average mother or father knows that it's there to bring the kids in. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful place, really well run and clean. And my hat's off to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great job.
Thank you.
No, Dave said it all right now.
Thank you.
It's great.
Well, just a comment. Very well done on the plan. A couple of questions that came up while you were speaking. I'm just curious about a couple of things that you touched on at the visitation at the North Branch, and what the expectations were and what they actually are now that you've been there for a bit.
Right.
And then my last question was on staffing. How are you doing with staffing? Are you having any difficulty? Where do you find the difficulty, and so on?
Sure, thank you. So one of the reasons why I applied for my position is because of North Branch. I'm from the area. I was working in the area. I grew up using Southworth Library, and I just was thrilled from the second that was announced that there was a new library coming and what that could mean for the community. And it was exciting to me to have just even the idea of being the director, because I feel like people don't know about it. I mean, the expectation, I think, was that it was just going to suddenly become like a mini Southworth, perhaps. Its proximity to the highway, it's right off of Route 6, and that wasn't really happening. And in large part, I think it was because it opened 6 weeks before COVID. So it didn't really get a chance in the beginning. Another downside is that, and this relates to staff, when that library opened, there were only 2 full-time staff members designated to be there 43 hours a week. I mean, we don't even work 43 hours a week as full-timers. So the fact that 2 people were supposed to manage that themselves just seemed like an unrealistic expectation. So I think we've really tried to shift to remove prior expectations and just sort of move forward with what do we have, what are its outstanding resources that we don't have at Southworth Library. We have 2 beautiful study rooms at North Branch. We've been looking into, and we've done a little bit of it, the branch librarian, Sharon E. Robbins, has worked with me on advertising the study rooms and the meeting room space there to UMass students and UMass Law Library students who we do see coming in because they want a change of scenery, but we're really trying to push that a little bit more. So we've shifted, that wasn't even on, I don't think, anyone's vision of what that library could mean in that part of the community. But we've really tried to shift focus and really try to get that age group in. We've also tried to increase staffing levels. So we now have, in addition to the 2 full-timers, we do have a part-timer who works 9.5 hours a week there. I go 1 day a week, our assistant director goes 1 day a week, and our children's librarian goes 1 day a week. And it's important to mention the children's librarian piece because you built a beautiful library next door to an elementary school and didn't staff it with a children's librarian, which is sort of like, here's this beautiful space, and we're just not going to give the school what it needs to use it, or to give the kids from that school what they need when they come in. So we do try to make a point of putting a staff member when we can in that room after school. And the reaction from families who come in after school time is amazing because they were so used to never seeing a staff member in that space.
Do you get a lot of interest from the school? Do they
yes.
use the meeting
so
space?
That's taken a little while to kick off as well. I mean, one of the beautiful parts of it is that a walkway was put in intentionally to connect the school with the library. And again, opening right before COVID and then closing, and then the way things were with the schools, obviously, it took a long time to get that going. It has always been that all the students do have library cards. And as soon as the school year starts, they get, if they don't already have one, they fill out an application that gets turned in. A disconnect, though, is that they don't actually come to the library to get the card. The application's dropped off at the library, we process the cards, and we send them back to the school. So the kids getting the card but not really understanding necessarily what that means until recently. So we've been working with their literacy teacher who was new last year, and we had all classes come in to the library in June to learn about the library, summer reading, how to use your library card, and that's something that we're supposed to schedule for 3 times this school year. And there are also individual teachers who bring their classes over.
Oh, that's great. Yeah,
which is great.
Sometimes just a change of venue can really spur their interest.
Correct. There's a pre-K teacher who comes weekly with her class, and that's it. She's just looking for a change of scenery. They stay for 20 minutes to a half an hour. She reads them a book. She could do that in her classroom, but instead she's bringing them over to the library. And excuse me, that's kindergarten. But we have a 4th grade teacher who visits regularly. 5th grade, we're able to pull material from them for them from other libraries when we know what their topic is. And then they're able to borrow it as if it had always been there. So I think as time goes on, that collaboration is just going to improve. We've always had a great relationship with Cushman next door to Southworth. And I met with Dr. Saban McGuire last week to talk about opportunities for DeMello and Quinn as well. So hopefully it just continues.
Great job.
Thank you.
So I know that it's not technically public yet because we were waiting for tonight's presentation, but once you do publish it, where can people go to read the strategic plan?
Sure. So that will be on our website. And we still use the old web address, which is www.dplma.org. So Dartmouth Public Library Mass.org, DPLMA, and then it brings you to the town site, but right to the library's page. You can also go through the town's website and click departments, then click library. So it will be posted right there very visibly on the homepage of the site. We're going to share it on our Facebook page. And then it's also on it's already actually on the Mass Board of Library Commissioners site. Not that I imagine many people here are going to the Mass Board of Library Commissioners website. But it will be out there very visibly tomorrow.
Okay, I know you had mentioned something about, upgrading Southworth, and I would suggest that you meet with the Long Range Planning Committee, just to kind of let them know what you would like to see done, so that they can fit it into the overall picture, because, it's now the oldest library, in town, but it's still, the building is still in good shape, and it does have its quirks, but then again, every building has its quirks.
Brand new ones have quirks.
But I think something like that, they would be, very receptive to seeing, what the library and what the trustees want to do to the building, as far as, infrastructure, so that, work it into the overall plan of the town.
Sure.
So,
That sounds
okay.
good.
All right, terrific.
Mr. Chairman?
Just a receive and file.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
There is also a beautiful community room at the North Dartmouth branch
Yes, there is.
in the name. Suzanne McDonald?
Yeah.
Salute to her.
I've already rented it for three meetings, so I've only told I have a two-meeting limit per month.
Oh, it's only
so-
two meetings a month.
Yep.
It's only two.
So I got three. So,
Great room and a great tribute.
I mean, it is, let's put it this way. The spaces available at both libraries are there for the community use. And, I think when we designed and we're talking about the use of the building, especially in the North Branch, it was to, also have the idea of having, some meetings there, like a travel show, like at some point in time, maybe this board, would go up there. Logistically, whether or not it's available, because, we do our meetings live, that's something that has to be worked out. But the idea is to have a space that's available for community use, for, the town does do workshops and events there, so the space is there. But my suggestion, and I know a municipality doesn't sell itself. We just sit back and say, okay, we're doing this, but how do we sell ourselves? And I think we as a community have some very good resources available. The high school, through their video programming. The guy sitting in the back over here, Peter Chase, and his crew, do a renowned job. Maybe we can get, our communications directors got involved now with, what's cooking. So, I'm sure you'll be, I'm
I've
sure
been
you've already been
asked.
asked. So you gotta come up with something good.
Yep.
Because I already got on chat about,
I heard.
You know, onions on burgers. You don't put onions on burgers, and it's not a burger. So,
And just to speak to Peter really quick, so the room, the Suzanne McDonald Community Room, is available for you all to use for a board meeting, thanks to Peter and his team. So that room is, if you ever wanted to go on the road, that room is available for
we'll
you.
do that.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. All right, so what I need is, I just need a motion to accept the report and place it on file.
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, none unanimous. All right, thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Have a good night.
All right, next item on the agenda is we have the EPA Climate Justice Community Change Grant Program discussion. Mr. Vitale.
Yes, so this was talked about towards the end of this past meeting. The town received correspondence from Fairhaven regarding a potential EPA grant opportunity. There was some correspondence back and forth, but wanted to just provide a little bit of additional context from that discussion from this past meeting. I did a little bit of research into the grant itself. Out of the $2 billion available in the grant, approximately a third is set aside for target areas. So this is border communities, tribal communities, U.S. territories. The rest of the funding appears to be competitive. The grant would require a community-based nonprofit organization as the co-applicant. There are a couple different tracks, but I think the one Fairhaven was interested in was the action grant category. The projects would need to be done within 3 years of the award, and the deadline for this is November 21st. Based on the grant, and I think the original scope that Fairhaven was looking to do, this certainly could be a regional application, but I think my recommendation would be that lead applicants would need to be New Bedford and potentially Buzzards Bay, should they be interested. And I believe there was separate correspondence that the town received from Buzzards Bay on their interest in doing some type of work in this effort. So I guess as a follow-up to last week's conversation, 2 weeks ago, just looking for what next steps the board wishes to take on this.
Well, I think it's rather obvious. If New Bedford is the lead applicant on this, it kind of gives the application a little more weight to it. Especially if Fairhaven and Dartmouth is, assisting them with it. So I think it's important that somehow correspondence to the city to discuss this go out there, and let's see what their response is. And right now, you've got roughly 44 days, roughly, before the deadline.
Yep.
So, the sooner they get contacted, the sooner, this discussion could be held and get the application out, as quickly as possible.
It's a somewhat related issue. Based on last week's support you gave us, I did make contact with the mayor's office regarding what we called an informal meeting. I realize that this is almost a separate issue because it's a grant for a specific program, but our goal, if you recall, was to get together the mayor to look at the 3 or 4 major issues that are facing the region, especially in our town. But I would think that in this case, we should go directly to is there a comrade similar to your position in the city we can contact regarding the grant, or does this need to go through the top down?
So I believe later on the agenda, you'll also see a letter from the Buzzards Bay Coalition on a very similar subject. My recommendation would be start at the top.
Mayor?
Yeah, I would suggest so. Certainly I can send something on behalf of this board regarding, I suppose, both items, depending on how the board proceeds with the conversation later on. To Sean McDonald's point is time is a little bit of the essence here, especially because EPA grants, federal grants, are highly competitive, and there would be a lot of information we would need to get it together in a short period of time. So,
I expect, my goal is to, if I don't hear from even the next couple of days, I'm going to keep going and keep making contact, because it's a bigger issue than just this, but on the other hand, this one's critically important as a time-wise, so I think putting pressure on from all ends is a good idea.
I mean, especially if the grant ever gets, if the grant gets awarded. I mean, and it is an area of concern for all three communities.
Is there any way that we can apply for this grant and not have to worry about partners just for this program? Because it's a very short time to get them.
Unfortunately, I believe to Sean's point, I don't think it would be considered competitive, especially when I think the action, the work that we're looking to have done is really within New Bedford's jurisdiction. In addition to that, in addition to New Bedford, we'd also have to make contact with a community-based nonprofit. I know Buzzards Bay fits that profile quite well. But again, this would also have to be something that their team would be ready to act on and apply to.
Maybe the approach to let, excuse me, Sam, to let the Buzzards Bay orchestrate the team approach, because they're good at it. I'd be very concerned that 40 days is going to go by quickly. But Buzzards Bay, they're really good at knowing the deadlines and committing to a grant program application that they could orchestrate it and put the hammer down, because they do represent not only the nonprofit, but they also the experts in putting this together and getting the grant done. So
I think any kind of letter that we send to New Bedford, we can CC Buzzards Bay on it. And then also, I mean, they're going to be coming in for these, for those things anyway. So Chris can talk to them about it, saying that we're going to be sending them a letter.
Mark is the guy who's here tonight. He's going to make it happen.
Right, well, I'm just saying, because they're going to be picking that up. Chris can let them know, hey, look, we got a letter going to New Bedford for this. This is what we want, but, we want to bring you in on this also, so that we have a three community and a nonprofit approach to this. So
I think the glue to it all is
Yeah.
a coalition, more so than any one entity. You agree with that?
Chris?
So the reason, a couple of reasons why I wanted to forward this information to all of you over the last couple of weeks. The first thing is that I didn't find this. It was brought to us by Rick Trapillo from Fairhaven. He's on the planning board, actively involved in trying to handle the issues that we have in the Bay. The question was always, okay, how do we get that third-party nonprofit involved? And lo and behold, the letter goes out September 30th to Senator Markey, Senator Warren, and also Congressman Keating, discussing the overflows, particularly out of New Bedford in this situation, because they're the largest entity around when it comes to the combined sewer overflow. But it's in my mind, it's really about groundswell. It's about, we've been talking about it in pockets in different towns, and it feels to me as though the more we talk about it and the more we try and engage with the area as a region, Westport, Fairhaven, New Bedford, Dartmouth, we have a better chance of presenting ourselves to Congress on the issue. And let's face it, I mean, $2 million and $3 million grant isn't going to do it. I didn't know about the timeframes on this particular grant, and maybe we should have earlier. I'm not sure who in town is in charge of grants. Maybe if the assistant super at DPW can keep an ear toward these types of things when they come up, because the amount of money that we're going to need for the sewer treatment plant is going to be difficult to swallow. So we have to be more present when it comes to these opportunities that will come up. The fact that we're not pointing fingers at New Bedford, but we're actually, like we talked about last week, kind of asking for a seat at the table, a partnership, knowing that the issues that New Bedford has with their system and the amount of gallonage that does end up getting forced out because of the rains. Today is a rain event. We had a decent amount of rain, short period of time, and if you go on the website, you'll be shocked at the amount of raw sewage gallons that goes out into the bay. It's not New Bedford's fault. They've got a CSO, but the more we talk about it, the more we reach out through a third-party nonprofit like Buzzards Bay Coalition, whose I think phrase is "Save the Bay." Let's back them. Let's get together in the room with them. Whether it's meeting with the mayor of New Bedford individually, I think if we sent a letter of interest similar to what Rick had sent to the mayor, similar to that, but CC'd Buzzards Bay Coalition along with the senators or the congressmen and senators, and along with the town of Fairhaven, CC them on it also. Again, it just goes to groundswell, it goes to the discussion, and hopefully, in our lifetimes, we'll be able to see, some action on this issue and try and clean up that waterway once and for all. Thanks.
All right, so let's do that. All right, you guys want to make it a motion? To send a letter
I
to,
think we need to. We just send a letter.
All right. We need a vote on it?
we don't
Just
really
send a
need to, we
letter.
just do it. It's just, you know what we want, and just get it done.
I just think that the key to all this, to make it happen best, is the Buzzards Bay Coalition. 'Cause
For sure.
they're experts at it,
Get the
and they
mojo.
can
They have the
visualize it
mojo.
as fast as we can, yeah.
Yeah.
But I will make sure, to Chris's, at Chris's recommendation, I will CC the parties that are involved and who are
Good.
actively talking about
Thank
this.
you.
Terrific.
Very well.
Okay, all right. Next item on the agenda, we have the Town Hall flag collection box discussion.
Yes.
So,
In favor of it.
Matthew,
Uh,
come on up. Thank you.
So Matt's here, and I'll give a
He's
little
here.
bit of an intro. Over the last several years, as the board knows, we have a flag box disposal or collection that was developed by Troop 74 as an Eagle Scout project in front of our town hall. Over the last several years, when it gets filled, the Eagle Scout and his family come out and they empty the box. In certain cases, as of recently, being outside, being made of wood, it gets worn out, gets weathered, so they've also come and repaired the box as needed as well over the last several years. This Eagle Scout is going to college. He's no longer going to be in the area, and they have expressed interest in turning over the responsibility of maintaining and emptying the box to the town. There's been some conversations with Matt, who's here this evening, and his current efforts of collecting these flags that are dropped off over at the COA, and he has indicated that he would be willing to take on that responsibility. So I know that with the box we have outside, what we would look to do is, rather than keep the box here at Town Hall, we'd like to relocate a box to the Council on Aging where Matt's located, for a couple reasons. One is that's where Matt's based out of, and it would be a lot easier for him to administer and empty and make sure that it's being looked at routinely. The second, where it's located at Town Hall, unfortunately, for some residents, it's a little bit difficult on the uneven terrain to access the box. So I know, talking with Matt, talking with Amy, trying to make it a little bit more of an accessible spot. The third thing is, we have talked about the box that's existing, and it's cemented in. We could attempt to try and remove it and relocate it, but I think we see this as an opportunity to invest and get a really nice box that's going to be durable and will weather storms, and will certainly, going forward, cost us a little bit less in terms of maintenance. So you can see in your packet, there's just a suggestion of a couple different options of what we can invest in over at COA. But the idea is that we could get a nice decal, make it look really nice, and have it be something that, again, we continue to offer residents. So
once this information came up on the emails, in discussion as Chris and I were discussing the agenda, I just went online and I found this page. So basically, it's a flag collection.
The whole
Stainless steel.
Yeah, the whole idea was very nice. It was a great project for the Eagle Scout. It was done beautifully, but in all reality, we're dealing with something made out of wood. We're not gonna be able to take it apart and move it, basically. The foundation's then in the ground, DPW can take that out. But, and I had looked at a few of these others. They're all made out of stainless steel. There's very little maintenance, if none, zero, over the period of time. a couple of grand, I guess, 1,500, whatever it is, but it's beautifully done, red, white, and blue. It's attractive. It should hopefully find a spot somewhere where people will see it, and, the awareness of it all will be best,
Can we
for
hear
us.
from,
Yeah.
hear from Matt?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I just think probably the best location would be at the Bullock Center on the roundabout that's located there. Folks can come in, just go in, they would go in backwards and just put the flags out the driver's side window, make it a little
Yeah.
easier. I mean, I'm currently collecting flags as it is, and they come in and I dispose of them properly and give them new ones. Another recommendation, if you wanted to keep a box here, you could just leave the cement intact and bolt the new one there, and I can come by every week and just check it. I got to drop mail off here anyways, so,
Well, it's,
and if I have a key, that's what makes all the difference.
it's a great spot because there's a lot of traffic.
Yeah, I mean, again, people have to get out, but I think it's been here long enough where it'd be like if you took that little mailbox away that people put, like the silver one, if you took that away from my folks, there'd be an uproar. They'd have to go all the way down to the center. So if you could just, that's just my idea. Leave it
Place
there
it.
maybe, and maybe angle it towards the parking lot a little bit so people know that it is what it is. And
Do we get an idea of how many flags we're talking about in a month's time we're getting in?
well, I mean, I would probably, in the winter, not a lot, but actually, yeah, so if it snows, people grab them, they bring them in. It comes through pretty much steady all year round. Memorial Day, Veterans Day, a little bit higher.
I mean, these boxes out there, we have any idea how many I don't have a clue.
I don't either.
It gets full, like every other month.
yeah.
Every other month. it
I
gets
think
full.
it's our obligation no matter what. The numbers really should mean
Oh,
nothing.
absolutely.
Really,
Just to have-
it's the whole
And I
idea.
literally just have a tote in my office that I store them until it's full. I put them in a bag, and I bring them over to the VFW. They're gracious enough on Flag Day to burn them properly. So,
Yeah,
no, that's how that's done.
So can we make a motion to,
I'm not clear. Are you recommending we have both locations, Matt?
No, I'm just saying you can have the one here. People know they can come find me at the senior center, but leave a box. I would say leave a box here.
yeah.
Just, yeah, it would
I
just
don't know
be-
what the flavor is of the
I
board.
mean, I don't know how big the platform is that's currently there, but if we can find a nice box that would fit that spot, I don't want to create more work to have another cement pad poured, but I mean,
These
I would.
boxes don't look that big, to be honest with you.
We can go online and
If
get some
you could
measurements.
just tell me, what are like the dimensions like on the bottom, like by width?
I mean, there's no link here, this is just a page.
And tomorrow I can come in and I'll measure that pad.
Yeah, unfortunately, don't have it
No
open
pad. If
here.
you could just forward the link.
Yeah.
to My email, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, Chris will forward it to you.
And then we can make we can vote on this the next meeting
Yeah.
and we can
Yeah, I can
purchase
pick
one
out,
of these
several and you can
stainless
just-
steel and put it on the foundation that's out there now.
You can certainly do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And also
And
put a unit
DPW can
outside down
install
there?
it, you
Or
know.
no? If we replace that one and angle it and all that, so you're saying we need a unit down at COA as well?
No.
It'd be great, but no, we don't. No.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I'd still have to go out and empty it. So people, just have them go in. So
That's great that
yeah,
you're willing
I mean,
willing
because if
to
they
do
come in,
that.
I have flags that I can give them to replace, and a lot of people don't. So everyone, you can come in my office and get flags.
Oh, you can work with Chris and figure out what's that, and then they'll bring it up to us.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
you.
terrific.
Thank
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you for your
Appreciate
time.
it.
Thank you.
See you on the 11th.
Yes, sir. Actually, on the first too.
On the first.
Yes, right, first, too.
Okay, next item, we have the pancreatic cancer proclamation. Basically, it's for November, beginning November 1st and through November. It says, whereas in 2024, an estimated 66,440 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 51,750 will die from the disease. And whereas pancreatic cancer is one of the most deadliest cancers and is currently the leading cause of cancer death in the United States, and whereas pancreatic cancer is the only major cancer within a 5-year relative survival rate of just 12%, and whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it is generally in the later stages, and 88% of the pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years, and whereas pancreatic cancer is the 12th most common cancer worldwide with 510,992 diagnoses worldwide in 2022, and whereas and the good health of well-being of residents of Dartmouth are enhanced as a direct result of increased awareness of the symptoms and risks of pancreatic cancer and research into early detection, causes, and effect treatment. Now therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in the Dartmouth, Massachusetts Select Board, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2024 to be pancreatic cancer in Dartmouth, and then on behalf of the Select Board, urge all the Dartmouth residents to take cognizance of this event and participate fittingly in its observance, and then its witness seal. So I need a motion to authorize the proclamation.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, second
Second.
by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Also, Town Hall will be lit up purple on our meeting night, Monday the 4th, just to proclaim the month for pancreatic cancer. I had suggested the whole month, but I was told that that's kind of a little bit impossible at this point in time. So November 4th, we'll have it done. And maybe, Peter, if we can also have it for our next meeting afterwards, which will be the 18th.
18th, yes.
So if we can have it for those 2 nights, it'd be great.
Yes. Pancreatic Cancer Day is the third Thursday of the month. That's what I found
Okay,
out.
So maybe
that's up to
maybe
you.
the 2 Mondays and that third Thursday.
Okay.
All right, terrific. Okay. All right. Next item on the agenda, we have the interim town meeting administrator update.
Yes, thank you. So next Monday, Town Hall and offices will be closed for the federal holiday. Offices will reopen on Tuesday, October 15th for normal business hours. Same thing, Tuesday, October 15th is our annual Fall Town Meeting. It starts at 7 o'clock at Dartmouth High School, 555 Bakerville Road. There are 8 articles on the warrant. The warrant packet is available for residents to view on the town website under the Town Clerk Department page. The town is in the process of finalizing bid documents for the long-awaited permanent dog park facility at the Dartmouth Regional Park. More information will be posted in the coming weeks, but we hope that those bids come back very favorably, so we're very excited. I'd like to provide a shout out, thank you, to our Employee Appreciation Committee. They had put on ice cream social this past Friday for staff. I also like to give you a thank you to our Parks and Recreation for donating the supplies from the bucket that they had left over from this year. Finally, one more shout out to our DPW. They were featured in Waste Advantage magazine, which is a nationwide publication. The article on them highlighted the town's food waste drop-off program. In DPW's first 3 months, it diverted 7,100 pounds of food waste from our local landfill. And if residents are interested in participating in this program, it's called the SMART program. Starter kits are available at our DPW office, which is 759 Russell's Mills Road. And that is it for me.
Okay. All right, old business, anything on the Bliss Corner?
No new updates.
Lake Nokichoke?
No updates.
Municipal broadband?
No updates.
Mass DEP Title V?
No updates.
Okay. We have the minutes of September 23rd to review and possibly accept. Is there any questions on these minutes?
I didn't have any. I didn't have any.
Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept September 23rd, 2024 minutes.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, on the question, and any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none unanimous. Select Board updates. Mr. Tattelbaum, you have anything?
I do. It's some old business, it's turned into new business. I was approached by the neighborhood members adjacent to the Allendale Country Club. And some of this information I have firsthand, it's accurate, and others, I'm the first to say, it's second and third hand, and I would call some of this information alleged until proven factual. And as we know, facts are what rules the road. Regarding a coyote issue in that neighborhood, And I got a phone call that there were numerous amounts of coyotes roaming the neighborhood, lots of dogs and kids around, and apparently, some of the golfers at Allendale Country Club had been feeding coyote, which of course the coyote is, they stay where there's food offered. Once again, I don't have firsthand information, but I also then got a follow-up phone call because I asked the resident to call Mr. Michaud, which she did, and he was very helpful, informative, and then he called me to follow up as well. And evidently, they have been over there trying to, once again, I want to make it very clear, this is information I've been told, but we need to get to the bottom of this because evidently the club has been asked to notify members it's not a good idea to feed coyote. And evidently, I'm told that it continues in some form. How much, how often, I have no idea. Now, we are a town, we got a lot of woods, and there's a lot of coyote. They had a great year. Rabbits and coyote and fox, they had a great year this year. They're everywhere. So Mr. Michaud told me that legally, from his point of view, there's not much he can do, warn people, etc. There's also a state agency that somehow tells people that hunting season is coming, and I don't know about that one either. There is a concern. The club is involved. It may be, I'm not sure what we can do, but it sounds pretty bad. The neighbors would like to have some action on part of the town if there is anything we can do.
Much more than they're doing already, apparently.
Well, I don't know what the stance is with the town versus Allendale and what's happened with members and if we got any status on that. And if anything we can do as a board, maybe not in a legal way, but in a fashion to say, if it's still being done, what can we do, if it is, to try to stop it?
Well, my suggestion would be for our co-town administrators to forward a letter to the board over at Allendale and to let them know that these are the concerns that have been brought up and that at some point in time maybe meet to discuss the situation as to whether, and maybe invite those neighbors to this meeting, one or two of them, don't make it a large, so that it doesn't become a,
You know what?
yeah.
Well, but it's also something that I think needs to be addressed quickly because it's an immediate problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's not gonna go, let's put it this way, it's not gonna go, it'll go away for a little bit, but once they winterize and they hunker down, and then it'll be picked up again come March, April,
Yeah, but-
especially when it comes time for mating season.
But we have a long way to go. There's a lot of golf left.
Yes.
So
Yep.
we can't put
I
it
don't
off.
know, I think we got to make this very clear. This is all circumstantial. I don't have the facts, but we need to get the facts and then take action and do it quickly. And I'd be happy to participate, or you want to do it, whatever we need to do to get something done.
Yeah, we'll send a letter to the board of directors over there to let them know that there's.
What are we asking them to do in the letter?
Well, basically letting them know that we've got concern, we've received complaints and concerns regarding, regarding the rumors or the, allegations that that Allendale has become a food source for these coyotes, whether it be from, accidentally dropping somebody's or leaving the food on the course.
Mr. Michaud would help, I think you should talk to him to fill him in on what they've done up till now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll get a little more information and see the status of it with Chris.
Okay.
And certainly, I'll get my information together before sending that letter off.
Great.
Because licensing-wise, there's very little we can do.
I understand. But morally, they have an obligation.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta be
It
good
could be a
neighbors.
safety issue.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's also a safety issue for their membership.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is go looking for a golf ball and then, that you shank to the left and all of a sudden, there's.
The neighbors got small dogs, they got small
There's a kid
kids.
there.
Yeah, and they're
Enough
not.
problems on a golf course,
Yeah,
believe me.
exactly.
What's that?
Enough problems on a golf course.
Right. Going to worry about coyotes.
Worry about coyotes.
But it is a
Some of us
serious, that's
spend
a
more
serious.
time in the woods than
That
others.
is a serious problem.
And there's no Acme in this area to help coyotes, so
But we owe it to those residents to take some action.
owe it to everybody.
Thank you.
All right.
Anything else, Mr. Tattelbaum?
That's enough for me for today. Thank you.
Okay.
Well said.
Okay. Chris, you have anything?
One quick thing. The state community corrections, when David and I were on the campaign trail, we were asked about clearing a path for the old Interchurch Council property off of, I think it was out on Reed Road. So I was back and forth with them about that. I got some information about where the path is. It was overgrown, and it was a question of who we could get to handle opening that path up again at some point. So reached out to some contacts in the state community corrections program. They have, things are starting to build up a little bit more. They have more participants, if you will, in the program. So they're willing to help. I've used them for DGAL in the past to try and clear fields, and actually I think they helped out at one of the beaches when we had a raking issue a few years back. But there was a question of liability for the participants. So what I just did was I sent Chris Vitale a copy of the contacts for the two program directors for the state, just to kind of drill down on the liability and approvals to have those programs come back into town. So if we need to have some of those individuals on town property, we'll be sure to be covered.
Do we have clarity on who actually owns that property?
I don't know.
I think it's pretty unclear.
Yeah.
And I did some work and talked to people about myself when we first, and it's dangerous, and my first impulse was it could be a great piece of property to turn over to a DNIT type outfit to take it and maintain it, because there's a lot of acres there.
But just to
Is that viable, Sean? That's up in your neighborhood.
It is. The question is that who currently owns the property? I mean,
Even not for that
Interchurch
particular,
Council, but it's
for that particular property, but to have that program available to us in Dartmouth could save us a lot of time.
Oh, that part
and
would
money.
be great.
But I know a significant portion of the land in that area is owned by the town. I mean, you just go on the GIS and you click on
It's
a large
that
parcel, and the
particular
town of
parcel's
Dartmouth comes up.
huge.
Yeah.
The Interchurch Council.
Yeah, the
piece.
town,
Do you think they still have some ownership on it, too?
I don't know.
probably not.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
I mean, the Interchurch, there's been land from the Interchurch that people have checked on, and it's, maybe they used to own it, or they had it, but
The real accessible place is right there where the people park and walk over to, right on the lake, and that's the one they're going to go to, as opposed to the
yeah,
further north.
because I know the
which is-
town does have some access from,
Over past the Lakesider?
yes,
Yeah.
way past the lake, that's overgrown.
Right.
That they
So
were going to
north-
use,
north of
that
Lakeside.
does, yeah, so that the city of Fall River was going to use to access breaking out that dam.
Oh, they're going to,
That's that area there.
Yeah,
they
that's
sell it
That's
to us
where
for
that
dollar,
area
yeah.
was.
We're
So
still
there
waiting.
is access there that's overgrown.
Fall River, yeah.
So, because Fall River was going to ask us to use that for access so that they can break down the dam, but nothing's happened with that.
How do we find out who owns that land?
Well, after the meeting, I'll go on the town GIS site and we can click on the lots and the property card
Can
will
you
come up.
report back that to us? Maybe, I
Right here, I
mean,
can
for another meeting, I mean, and then
Yeah,
we
well, I
can,
mean, we could take a look at it. I mean, I can't, spend all the time, but it's easy enough to figure out how much land is there.
Yeah, for a future meeting, I'm happy to look at the property ownership in that
Okay.
area. There's questions on liability, so that'll have to go through town council. And certainly with that information that Chris just sent me, I can contact those individuals on the
the
program
impression
to get
is
more
that
details.
it's town-owned land, all of it, and that's probably quite unfair.
I don't think it is.
I don't either, but.
It's a combination over the years, but the
Yeah,
church
but what do we
probably
do?
doesn't own it.
No, okay,
They
great.
would have got rid of it years ago.
Glad you brought that back up, Chris, thanks. Stanley, you want to be part
All right,
get your orange uniform and
We have, yeah, I just lost
put
it.
the orange uniform?
Okay, we have a letter, well, actually, a letter that was sent to Senator Markey, Senator Warren, and Congressman Keating. Was from, the letterhead was on Buzzards Bay Coalition, and it was signed by 288 people? Is that 388 people?
yeah.
Regarding the cleanup. that, so it's here, this is all part of it, and I can understand. A lot of it has to do with their cancellation of their, of the swim that they have. Also, Friday, November 1st, is again, it's the Veterans Day Luncheon at the Rachel's Lakesider. They will be also honoring Ed Pimentel. So if we can get some information from Maria Connor regarding Ed's past work in the town, so that we can put something together for him, and we can have a proclamation for him for that day. Have that for the next meeting. And I think basically that's it. I will forward, tomorrow, I will forward to the board an invitation I received from the Mendes house. They are going to have a ribbon cutting on the 30th of October, Wednesday at 2 o'clock. I'll forward it to you, to everybody. It was sent to me, so I'll make sure you guys get it. And I think that's pretty much it right now. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second? Motion made by Mr. Mickelson, seconded by Mr. O'Neill. On the motion, any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, none, unanimous. All right. That's it. Thank you, everybody.